Day 8. And today was an interesting day, I have to admit. Um, I'm I was told through work that I needed to reactivate my Facebook account, which I did reluctantly because first off, I had a bet going with someone at work that I could stay off Facebook for 6 months, and I would have won $50, but I guess the bet is moot because I had to reactivate it for work. Um, and that was the first thing because I needed to be a part of a secret group. Um, Now, the second thing that was told to me was that I had to sort of go over the things that I had said in the past, go over my posts and make sure that they were in line with the company ethos. And this was a challenge. This was a complete challenge for me because as early as October, I was sharing some serious like social justice radical bullshit. Like it was when I was going through, because you can't just you can limit posts to just friends, but if you want to limit posts to only yourself, you have to do them one at a time. So it was a trip down memory lane. And I actually screen capped some of the most cringeworthy ones that I had posted. And none of them were about feminism because I've never actually posted anything that was pro-feminist, which I think is just because I never was one. But the whole Black Lives Matter thing and the alt-right and how bad all of these people are, and just celebrating people like Soy Boy PM in Canada, and I I really had a hard time. Like people were wondering what was going on at my desk. Every time I saw one, I was like, ugh. And then I scrolled down, I was like, ugh. And it was just one after the other. And then I got to my Me Too post because when that first started, I did post a hashtag Me Too thing. And I had made it gender neutral, essentially. I was like to all the people that had ever been harassed or abused, whatever, if they blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking about what made me post that and the mentality that I had when I was doing it, which was this person had wronged me. And, I was so innocent and he was wrong to have done it. And yes, he was wrong to have done it. What I did realize after the fact was from that experience, I had learned something. And from my Me Too edition, which I didn't go into details and I won't go into details here. I mean, you can imagine whatever you will, but my response to the Me Too movement now and not then is what would a wise woman do in the face of something that happened to her that was completely deplorable. So this whole wise woman idea as a hashtag was an idea that was pitched to me by a friend. And I really love it because it puts personal responsibility on the person who is engaging in whatever behavior. I'm not saying that the victims are to blame, and I'm not going to go down that route either, but I'm saying that in my situations, what I experienced, I know that if I had done things differently and if I had been more careful and if I had, watched my drink when if I didn't leave my drink alone and I had watched it and I had kept with friends and I had done all those things and didn't get blackout drunk, maybe things could have been different. And, maybe being a guy, it's one of those things that you can go anywhere in the world and get blackout drunk and maybe you might die and maybe you won't. But it's like, it's a different sort of, playing field when you're a woman. And I'll fully admit that. But for me, it's all about wisdom, right? If we go through life trying to change everything to fit around our weaknesses, then we create a weak world and we never strengthen ourselves. So, I mean, yesterday I was feeling really down about work and I was feeling like, what am I doing here? I'm terrible at my job. And now I'm thinking to myself, like, that's the fucking pity mentality that I had back then. I look back at those posts and I'm changing the privacy settings for every single one. And I almost don't want to, because the amount of change that has happened in just from September until now is incredible for myself. And I'm proud of myself. If I'm not good at my job right now, then my job is to get good at it. Like, it's not rocket science. If I'm bad at something, work on it, get good at it. If you get mugged, take a kickboxing class. Next time that shit happens, make that motherfucker pay. That's what wise women do. So I'm really glad actually that I reactivated that Facebook today. It is going to be deactivated because I realized that there was too many things to put as private in order to satisfy my work. So I just created a new Facebook, and it's ideology free and it's opinion free and it's just for communicating work things. So, I mean, short-lived life for my old Facebook page, but I think that I learned a little bit in just reflecting. And that got me thinking about truth. You know, the truth of the matter is, what those things that I said back then, they didn't feel like lies, but they were. And the truth that I'm living right now is one that's far more positive overall, even though I have bad days. Everyone does. And I'm really just so happy to be rid of that energy. And it took reminding, it took like really thinking on who I was to see how far I've come right now. So with work, my job is to get good at it and not to wallow in self-pity about how bad I am at it at the moment, because it will get better. It'll just take time. I might not be the best, and maybe that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be to be competent. And in that competence, find a sense of strength. The whole wise women thing, I think that should be that should be the message here, because I mean, I'm not going to disavow the Me Too movement altogether, because getting people like Harvey Weinstein to the fuck out of where he was, taking his power away, I think that was a bonus. But I do think it was a slippery slope. And I think that there are a lot of cases where women who have just not developed the ability to say no are putting the onus on men to read their minds, essentially, to tell them, to mind read and to act according to some set of standards that they have no idea about, because nobody communicates them with words. You know, if somebody comes on too strong to me, the person that I was then would have just taken it. You know, that was one of my thoughts when I was in the Me Too thing. It's like, well, when that person was doing this, why didn't you stop them, Terry? Why didn't you say no? Why didn't you do this? And the answer was, I was too scared to, or I didn't know how to. I lacked the skills to be assertive in the moment. So I started thinking about International Women's Day, and you know, I think that there is some merit to it, but I also think that we as women need to sort of, And I don't want to separate us in terms of sex, because I think that everybody can benefit from pursuing strength, self strength, like internal, and then putting it out into the world. But I think women in particular, especially in this climate now where everybody is a victim, everybody wants to be a victim, because it's like this virtuous state that it's like you can't deny. It gives them this platform that's essentially like you cannot take it away, And if I wanted to, I could be the poster child for fucking identity politics. If I wanted to, I could go to the military and say, hey, well, I don't want to do my hair. I want it to be curly because my hair is naturally curly like an afro. But there's no dress regs to deal with. Oh, shit, I shouldn't have said that. There's no dress regs to deal with that. So, I mean, I could do that, but I don't. And the reason why I don't is because when you join an organization like the military, you are a part of that system, and you give yourself in service. You are doing service to your country, and it's country first and self second. I would argue that maybe for a lot of us, it's spirituality or God first, country second, and then self third. Self, family, whatever. Everybody has their own way of thinking about it, but country should definitely come before self in every single sense. And I'm really feeling better today about lies in general, because I mean, essentially, I have finally figured out how I'm going to reconcile this idea of truth and lying versus, like, in general, versus truth and lying regards to self. Use the hierarchy. If my service is to my country, then the truth of that country and telling the truth as it is for the country, it completely supersedes the truth for myself. And even though this is an internal journey and not lying, whenever I say something that I do not ideologically agree with on the part of my work, I think that I'm not lying because I am serving my work. So that was really the crux of my problem with my current state and my job. And I'm glad I resolved it. I probably shouldn't have said what my organization was. And, maybe I'll get a reprimand soon. I don't know. They might tell me to take all the videos down. Who knows? But I'm going to try and hide this from people as long as I can. I don't tell anyone what I'm doing. The only people that really know are Twitter and a few choice folk. Anyway, that's day 8 for me. Did I say day 8 at the beginning or day 7? I think I said day 8. Yeah. So that's day 8 for me. And the quest continues. The journey continues. And I feel a little more wise having reflected on the past and seen that there's nothing there that I want to go back to. There's absolutely nothing in that past version of myself that I need. And I think that I can finally stop grieving for that version of myself, because the version that exists now, hey, maybe she's a little thicker, maybe she's older, maybe she has shorter hair. It doesn't really matter. The version that I am now intellectually is just so much more in tune with who I am. It just feels right. It feels correct. I think it is correct. I could look back on these videos, if they exist, in the next 10 years and be like, God, what was she thinking? She was such an idiot. Maybe she should have just kept her mouth shut. She probably should have kept her mouth shut. But you know what? No, not today, Satan. Not today.